Yo, what is up? Happy Thursday. Welcome back to the Culture and Cannabis Podcast. It's just me today. It's full-time Tony. I'm going to be your only host. My good friend, a mentor, I would call him to me, JC Coates, my business partner, is not here today. He's not feeling that great. There's a picture of him. There he is, he's looking real swole though. I mean, Jesus, I've never seen a sick person look so buff in my whole entire life. The hair's looking good. He must have shaved right before this picture. And that blue looks great with that white in the background. So, but yeah, JC Coates, man, yeah, he's not feeling good. So send him some love his way. Make sure he's feeling better. But we got a great show today. This show is going to be phenomenal. I have a great guest. So we're gonna bring her out here. This person is someone who I got to meet in the cannabis industry in Oklahoma. She was really awesome out there. We have Cari from Mary Jane. What's going on, Cari? How we doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Happy 420-ish, 21.
420. It is currently 421. Thursday. What's the date? What is it? February 25th. And I had the pleasure to talk with Cari Carmona. Carmona, right?
You did it.
Yeah, I did it. I got it right. From Mary Jane. Cari, I know a lot about you, but tell the listeners who you are, what you do, and who you work with.
So I guess you want to know my official title. My official title is VP of Client Relations at Mary Jane Top Tree. Basically, work with the community to have them, I guess, let me try to put this in the right words. I want to make sure whatever they're trying to do is what they're trying to project to the community. And I can help people that not everybody knows how to do that. So I help facilitate that, more or less. I'm kind of jack of all trades. I do it all.
That's what I was gonna say. You kind of do it all, right? I mean, I've seen you do social media campaigns. I've seen you schedule events. I've seen you work events. I've seen you hang out with Paul Wall. I've seen you do it all. I mean, you're all over the place.
All over the place. I was just hosting the clubhouse. I'm here. I'm taking care of baby.
So tell people what Mary Jane is, what Top Tree is, and what your guys' mission is.
Yeah, so Snoop Dogg has had Mary Jane since 2015 with Ted Chung, and Smoke is at Top Tree. He founded that, 8 years ago or so. He really started a bunch of pages right when cannabis first started, or not cannabis, social media. So he started a bunch of cannabis themed and hemp pages because he was working with Macklemore and Paul Wall back in the day. And that's kind of how all that started. So we were just kind of doing some back end stuff, and I had originally met them over at HT, and
HTB, it was just high times.
It's high times, yeah. So I met them I was originally with Dope Magazine. We got acquired, and so we all went to Vegas, and we all had this little we all got married type of thing. It's we're a little family, and that's how we met Top Tree. They were doing the behind the scenes, but they were doing behind the scenes over at Mary Jane, and then I had done Snoop Dogg Snooper Bowl before COVID hit. Not this Super Bowl, but last Super Bowl.
2020.
And the rest is kind of, yeah.
And so,
the rest is kind of.
And so, you guys work with cannabis brands. You guys make content. Obviously, you guys do a bunch of funny content on Top Tree and Smoke. How do you guys get inspired to make that style of content?
So we have huddles. I mean, when you're in the funny, the comedy and fun realm, it's a lot of fun to be in these huddles. We're kind of spitballing ideas, and they'll kind of see the reactions that other team members will get to know if that's a hit or a miss. A lot of the people on our team have, they have very large pages and know how to speak internet and culture. And so we are able to translate cannabis culture to that funny, mean lifestyle, which is great and can help you get your message out virally And so that's kind of what we do. I mean, everybody loves the beautiful static images, but what are the things that you're sending to your mom and your dad and your sister? It's funny stuff. It's funny memes, and those are shareable. So we just we try to do it we did one for like, let's use Maple Wana for an example. And it was, they're Canadian themed up. So Super Troopers, when he's like drinking that bottle, but he's drinking a bottle of Maple Wana. So it's super funny. And we get super creative with like our videos, and we were working side by side for the last year, but this last month we just merged our companies together. So we're really kind of getting in there and restructuring some things just to kind of, get more of the community involved. Like, we're doing an extreme makeover giveaway right now to a brand that you think is deserving, a BIPOC brand that you think is deserving of a $7,500 marketing campaign, because that's not in everybody's cards, you know what I'm saying? So if you're a good, great brand and people are, supporting you out there and you need some help, like, we're doing stuff like that. And we're doing stuff like events with Paul Wall. Like, you want to get connected with him, it's easier for us to facilitate that, for the community, because, they're our friends.
No, 100%, 100%. And I think it's so cool what you guys do and like the way that you make cannabis so fun, right? Like, and as someone who creates content in the space, I definitely can get inspired by you guys and the content that you guys are creating, and inspired to do more funny, lighthearted content and less serious content, right? What you talked about the makeover that you're doing for a cannabis brand in the industry, a $7,500 makeover. Branding is so important, and that's really awesome that you're going to really hook up a smaller brand or a brand that just doesn't really understand the marketing branding side. How important is it to have that brand and the marketing power behind a cannabis brand in today's world?
I mean, it's really helpful. There's not many places that you can go. I mean, really, like if you think about it, you got High Times, Sensi, other than Mary Jane. I mean, there's not really anywhere else to go. You got some local magazines here and there. And then, of course, there's great people like you who are spreading the word, but, you can't run traditional Facebook ads. You can't do, traditional Instagram ads. So the cannabis community has had to learn how to do these outside of the box kind of campaigns. And, between the both of us, we just offer so many resources. And so we're really able to kind of customize like what's going to work for you. And that's kind of how that all came about. And that's why it's so important, is because you really need to get your word out there, and how else are you going to do it? I mean, word of mouth is great, but if you're trying to go to on a national level, like you really do need support and you need eyeballs on your product. The more eyeballs, the more closer you are to a sell.
100%. No, 100%. It is so important, right? To do marketing branding, and that's why I think brands like Culture and Cannabis has been doing so well. And I started in this industry helping brands with marketing and making sure that their brand messages was correct. And I feel like over at Mary Jane, you guys have done a really good job with the brands that you worked with as far as brand message. When talking about the brand message, what are things that you take in consideration when like building a brand or working with a brand?
I think the first thing that I do, and I think anybody in this industry should do, is get to know who you're working with. Like, we really do get to know these brands, and it's like any cliche type of sales, right? It's the same. Like, you have to believe in what you're selling. And so I personally have to believe in what I'm marketing, even if it is a partner. I won't just take anybody's money if I really don't like believe in it. It makes it very hard, right? So like for me, it was really easy for me to like work with Zigzag and Raw, but it's not, for me personally, it's not very easy for me to work with like Backwoods because I don't smoke Backwoods. Not saying there's other people on the team that do and they love a Backwoods, but for me personally, it's like hard.
I love a good Backwood.
Yeah, I know, right? So and so many people are like, oh, I used to smoke cigarettes, and let's not get into it, but I'm just like, I'm not into backwoods because I'm just not into backwoods. So, but I'm just kind of using that as an example.
Of
I'm
course,
super
of course.
passionate about like who I work with and stuff. So I really try to get to know the brands. Who are you? What's your message? What are you trying to do? Like burning bottles. He's a veteran, and he's out making the, handmade, bongs, out of like wine bottles, right? So, I mean, I'm down to support a cause like that, So we always try to show our partners love, and we always go above and beyond. And we want everybody to be successful because with their success comes our success, and they're going to tell their friends. I mean, I'm old school too, and I'm a word of mouth kind of person, So I mean, I always like doing that. I want everybody, and that's what I've been doing all these years, since the Dope Magazine days. I just want to take care of the community, and I want the community to say, hey, Cari, help me. And, you know what I mean? I want to be like a Stephen D'Angelo someday. That's
No,
bold, but
no, I believe it. I could see it 100%. No, I love that you brought up the point of you are an OG of this industry, right? I mean, you've been in the cannabis industry for a long time. And you've been in multiple markets. You've been into a lot of markets, and now you currently are in the Oklahoma market. How different is the Oklahoma market compared to all the other markets that you've been in the country?
this market is extremely family friendly. Like this state is family friendly. That's what I mean. I really moved here because I have small children, and I wanted to I came from Kansas, like originally, the mom and was originally from Tulsa. Like there's a lot of things that go into it, but I wanted to come here for the family aspect. And when I got here, they were doing a lot of like cannabis family friendly events. And it's really unheard of. Like when I called you earlier and I'm like, hey, my nanny's horse died. And you know what I mean? Not everybody is family friendly. So
100%.
coming from Denver, it's very like you keep all that separate. But here, like it's very open. Like they talk about it. They changed the rules so you can bring your kid into a dispensary when you buy your medicine. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, because people were leaving their kids in the car to go inside and get their medicine from the dispensary. So I feel there's like a lot of forward thinking when it comes to, being a parent in cannabis, which I've always, been super transparent with my kids. Like I know they're little still, but they know that's my medicine, and they know that's, what I do for a living. I don't hide anything from them, and I won't. And because it's made me a better person, it's made me a better mom. And I've always like, I know this sounds so cliche again, but I always knew I was going to be in the cannabis industry. So I wrote a paper in seventh grade, and I was like, I'm going to move to Denver. I'm going to be in the medical market, and everybody's looking at me like, oh my God, yes, Mr. Harvey. Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Shout out to Mr. Harvey.
Yeah, it's so unique to think about because like even me as a kid, like there was no cannabis industry to look up to, right? Like there's always been alcohol. Like my dad's worked in alcohol for his whole life. He's been at a company here in Nevada for like the past 27 years. So like even thinking about that comparison to like cannabis, like I don't even think kids think about it in the way that we think they will think about it, right? Just because they are so young. And so I think it's cool that Oklahoma, is kind of making it more of a family-friendly state, right, when it comes to cannabis. And I even noticed that when I was out there. I remember we were at a dispensary in Broken Arrow. I think it's called Natural Roots. I don't want to mess it up. But they had an awesome event over there where they were doing a patient drive, and they legitimately had a bouncy house for kids. And like if that was in Las Vegas, people would be like mid-level execs at these cannabis companies would be losing their fucking minds. They'd be like, "What the fuck are their kids doing here?" Like because in Nevada market it's 21 and over, so it's just interesting. That in Oklahoma it's just so open.
Yeah. So I was like, man, like coming from Colorado and it being such a progressive market, it's been amazing to see. And I really love that aspect, I guess. And it's what's different, I guess, in other markets. to be honest with you. I haven't really seen a market like this before.
What are the things that, besides the family friendly aspect, what else about that Oklahoma market that do you really like?
I mean, there's so much to do. I mean, there's really so much to do, and there's so many great people, and there's so many great, emerging brands, and I guess again to backroot to like Colorado. I mean, there are grows out there that have been going on for like 10 years that haven't had renovations. Like these people definitely did their homework. They're building facilities that, have all the bells and whistles. They're doing everything right. They're not cutting corners. I've cut it, and that's something that I have noticed, but it's not really anybody's fault in Colorado. It's like why you don't fix something that's not broken, right? And that's kind of what I've noticed, that, they're doing a lot of great things. They've definitely looked at other markets and took the great highlighted parts and put that into their stores. I mean, their stores are beautiful. I mean, starting out when in Colorado, it was just like a display case with like jars and, you smelt some jars and then that was it, like these people are coming straight out from the gate with these beautiful lounge areas and art installations and, you know what I mean? Like you can watch a kitchen, and people working in there. You can look at a grow, I mean, and you have some of those kind of facilities here and there. But like the ones in Colorado, like you can't see a grow from the lounge anymore. So if you had one when it was legal, you kind of got grandfathered in. But yeah, I just, things like that I've noticed is different. But I mean, really, I heard it wasn't going to snow, but I guess there's a lot of snow out here. But I just kind of like the wildlife and stuff too. And
I mean,
I really
that storm really hit you guys super hard.
Oh my goodness. Because half of our crew is in Houston.
Did not know that.
Jonathan, Trish, Dom, Kay, they're all in Houston, and they've never had a storm like. They were literally working out of their cars. It was it was horrible. Jonathan didn't shower for 5 days. He was it was the craziest thing ever. Meanwhile, for me, coming from Denver, it was really nothing, and I just so happened to have snow pants and everything I would need for the weathers. But yeah, people were I'd walk into a store and they're like, "Wow, you're dressed appropriately," and I was like, "I literally just so happen to have this in my closet."
Yeah, you've been waiting to use it. You've been waiting for the big one to come so that you can show off to everybody.
Yeah, and then here we are. But it wasn't too bad. Electricity and water, so it was actually good. But there's a lot of people out here that didn't.
And I know a lot of people out there, were out of water. Texas was crazy, people, there's 5 to 7 days people didn't have power, electricity. I wanted to talk about Oklahoma events because when I was out there, it was October to November, and I was out there with me and Chuck, young Charles, and we got to go to a bunch of events while we were there, and it was crazy because it was it was middle of COVID, pretty much the height of COVID in the past 6 months, and Oklahoma was just going off, and it's not stopping, right? And I know you've been to a bunch of events out there. How is that scene like? What does it look like for the community to have those types of events right now?
Yeah, so I mean, again, coming from Denver and coming here, it was a bit of a shock because it's you're quarantining yourself super hard over there. You're wearing, you're spraying yourself when you go in and out of the house, and coming over here, it was very lax. I got here in May. It wasn't, I feel like at the time it wasn't too bad because it was hot and they say, the heat kills the COVID or whatever. And it wasn't too bad. I felt like in the wintertime, there was a lot of, I didn't go to the ones in the wintertime. I got small kids. I'm not trying to take any risks. I mean, I'm sure you've been to plenty of cannabis events in the wintertime before COVID and everybody was getting sick. So I was like, with the COVID on top of it, I'm not really going to go. So I didn't really go to any events in the wintertime. But I mean, there was some pretty heavy spreads from some specific events out here that were kind of like dual inside outside events that saw like a couple thousand people. Um, but I didn't go. But I mean, I was able to kind of like be curious on my phone and kind of look at people's stories and stuff. And I mean, our community is so built around social aspects and gatherings, and like, I feel like we all had to be in the closet for so long, and now we don't have to be quiet about it, and we're finally able to like hang out and be a family, and COVID kind of breaking that up for us is hard. Places like Clubhouse and stuff I think are great alternatives to that, especially if like you can't fly in and out of the country right now for whatever health reason, and you can still connect that way. So, I mean, I had a small event here. I mean, one of the big things was like, oh, there wasn't that many people. I literally planned it that way. Like, it was literally only 60 people. Like, not only are my sponsors' lives in jeopardy, Paul's life in jeopardy. I mean, he has small kids. I mean, he took a risk. Like, if he caught COVID, and like, I'm pretty sure his wife and kids would not like me. So I want to just protect like everybody who's included in these events, and we'll see how the numbers are, moving forward, and kind of going from there. I think you just really have to gauge like what you're willing to risk. Ultimately, like, don't go if you're sick. If you don't feel good, stay home. Like, it is what it. JC stayed home. I mean, as much as I'm sure he wanted to be here, he stayed home because he didn't want to wait just in case. So, I mean, as long as you're, wearing a mask and washing your hands and being respectful, like, I think that's important. And I think I do kind of moving forward. It's kind of hard to discuss,
100%, 100%. I mean, that's been something it's been a talk for the culture and cannabis team over the past couple months, just because Las Vegas is opening back up the beginning of next month. Clubs are gonna be opening up. I don't know what it looks like. You're gonna have pool parties, stuff of that nature. People are starting to plan events already. People are already starting to plan for events beginning at the end of this year. So. Culture and cannabis is definitely keeping their options open. We're definitely looking at dates and, just playing it by ear. But if there's an opportunity for us to strike to do an event, I mean, we're going to try to, right? Just because the events are important. The social, like you said, the social aspects are so important in this cannabis industry. And you brought up a great point. If it wasn't for Clubhouse, I feel like we'd be hurting really tough right now. And I want to talk with you about Clubhouse, because Clubhouse has been, I think, and honestly, a crazy great catalyst for the cannabis industry. And I think that a lot of people like know it, but don't really understand the massive impact that I think it's creating nationwide. I think, honestly, Clubhouse could potentially be a big factor in the reason why we can get national legalization done. Not that I necessarily want it done quickly or fast or at all for that means, but I just think that it's going to be great for spreading really good information across the country and across the world, for that matter.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think you were on last week where we were talking about New Jersey, and the next, 2 days later, 3 days later, it's legal, So it's just, the little things, and hearing what these like-minded people have to say, and being able to connect with people that you would have typically connected with at an expo, going to MJ Biz, going to, the Hemp Expo, or, or Champs is obviously still doing their thing in Florida, and that's great. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we would have met all these people at these places typically, and I think Clubhouse is that place where we can connect with those people we would have connected with. So that's been, I met some amazing people off of Clubhouse, and been able to like reconnect with people I hadn't seen in a long time, even though I'm just looking at their picture and hearing their voice. Like, it's like reconnecting, and it's a great feeling. And, I really like the aspect where people, drop gems, sharing the knowledge. Like, knowledge is, I mean, it's so cliche. All this clicheing I'm doing today, I typically don't say that word that much. Um,
That's okay.
what am I? Knowledge is currency of the universe. Like it really is. You know, if you go, even if we got abducted by an alien, here we go with the alien talk. Um, you know, your knowledge is what's going to get you through. You don't have any money. It's just you, like, and the alien. If you can offer that alien fire and they don't have fire, you know, that's a plus. But I'm just saying, like, knowledge is a currency of the universe, and sharing that knowledge. And I've learned, you know, if I'm able to get in a room with, you know, Grant Cardone and hear, you know, the way he, you know, says X, Y, and Z to X, Y, and Z person, or I'm able to raise my hand and say, hey, Grant Cardone, what would you do in this situation? And how would you do it like this? Like, I think that's interesting. Or even like, you know, you or me, like people ask me questions all the time, and it's like basic knowledge for me, but a lot of people don't know. Like, I get the question, like, I want to get in the cannabis industry. Like, what do you recommend? Like, what brands do you really love? Maybe you should go on a tour. You know, it's kind of like for school too. Like you tour all these schools, like tour a bunch of brands that you love and get to know what the cannabis community is really about, or you know, how do you want to be involved? So
A hundred percent. I really been enjoying Clubhouse so much. It's been something that I think I've gotten to meet some really amazing people. I've been able to stay connected with you very regularly, which has been awesome, and a lot of people in Oklahoma. And I've gotten to meet some people who I've always wanted to meet in the industry, right? Like people that I never would have thought I would have met, even in person, potentially, right? So it's been really cool. And if you're not on Clubhouse, look for Clubhouse. If you're cool enough, I might send you an invite. Carrie might send you an invite. But yeah, Clubhouse is definitely taking over. Cari, I don't want to take up too much of your time. We're going to be wrapping up here in a little bit, but I thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's been great. We're definitely going to get you back on. And I can't wait to see you out in Oklahoma when I'm out there March 11th through 20th. But before you go, I want to ask you a quick question. If you were on a stranded island and you could only bring one product of cannabis, whether that be like edibles or flower or concentrates, for the rest of your life, that's the only thing that you had, what would you pick?
topicals.
Topicals. That's an interesting answer. I was not expecting that at all. Why topicals?
I love topicals. I mean, I was a patient first. Like I started in the doctor's office and into law and space, and then started with dope and high times, and kind of, you know, that's kind of how it all began. But I really do have a lot of like, you know, pain in my back, and I have arthritis, and I have a herniated disc, and like all this stuff. I've had two babies, C-sections, and you know, you whip a little topical on a C-section scar when you're in pain, and it does wonders. You know what I mean? So I really kind of started. I mean, that's why I love like Mary Jane medicinals so much. With Dahlia, there was again just those jars of weed, and then she came out with that bath bomb thing.
Yep.
And then she came out with the topicals. Like she really is like the founder of topicals, and that really like changed my life. And like I tried like the great thing about topicals, like you could put some on your wrist and still get the kind of the effects of like smoking a joint or whatnot. So it's like I could live like, you know, the rest of my life on a stranded island with some topicals. Like it just, you know, nothing else really does it the same if you're in physical pain, or, you know, just rub a little here, rub a little here, you know.
Turn up.
That's what I would. Yeah.
No, I love it. I love it. Awesome. Well, that's great. I wasn't expecting that at all. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. Before you go, where can people find you? Where can they find your companies that you work with? Plug yourself.
Yeah, you can follow Mary Jane Media at Mary Jane, MERRYJANE. That's Snoop and Smokes media outlet. You can follow at Top Tree for all your funny meme content, laugh your heart desires. And then I'm at Cari Dimples, Cari Dimples, Cari Dimples. That's me.
And that's it. Cari, thank you so much. I'll talk with you soon. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Stay up.
Stay up. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Culture and Cannabis. You guys are the best.
Thanks. Man, great podcast. You know, I'm sad JC wasn't here, but it was so awesome talking with Cari. She's a wealth of knowledge in this cannabis industry. She's someone you definitely want to connect with. If you're in the industry, someone that you definitely want to work with. Mary Jane's a fantastic company. Culture and Cannabis and Mary Jane have done a couple of things together. So, you know, stay on the lookout for more stuff with us. But man, it's, you know, things are funny sometimes, right? So like today, we had a packed day, like a full packed day. Like I'm telling you, back to back to back meetings, me and JC. And I was getting ready for this day, right? I remember, like at the beginning of this week, I just knew, like, all right, Thursday, like that's gonna be the day. We got the podcast. We got to go to this meeting. We got to go to that meeting. All really awesome meetings. And then last night, JC calls me and he's like, "Yo, dog, I got the flu, or I'm sick," right? He's like, tells me like, you know, I'm not feeling well. And waking up this morning, man, like it's crazy that life can just throw you obstacles, right? And so you just got to adapt and overcome. And that's really like the biggest thing that I think JC has been teaching me over these past couple years is that, you know, no matter what happens, like JC's like he's probably watching right now in his bed, right? But he's getting shit done still, and he's getting the emails, and there he is, Mr. JC Coates. So, you know, the biggest thing that I could say to all my hustlers out there, man, is that nothing's ever going to be perfect. Nothing's going to ever work out the way you want it to. It's never going to be as fast as you want to get it done. But listen, you got to get it done. And I say at the end of the day, and you know, this is small. This is a small thing, right? But it kind of annoyed me, right? This is where I was like, fuck, I wish JC wasn't sick so I can have this dope ass day with him. But it's just, it didn't work out, right? And so that's what life's all about. It's about, you know, bobbing and weaving when you get shit thrown your way, you know? If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. But Culture and Cannabis has got some dope stuff coming up. We're going to be out in California hopefully next week, depending on a COVID test pending from JC Coates, but we're really hoping to get out there and you know, connect with some people. We're working on that deal out there, and man, it's going to be really cool. And then we're going to be in Oklahoma March 11th through 20th, and it's going to be amazing. We're going to be bringing Chuck, we're going to be bringing Joy, JC, me. We're definitely trying to shoot some Culture as Foods out there. So if you're a restaurant owner, you know a restaurant, you work with a restaurant, make sure to tap in, you know, let us know. We want to work with some Oklahoma restaurants. And if you're an influencer in the space, I know we worked with a bunch of amazing influencers already, but I know there's a ton more in the great state of Oklahoma that we can work with. So definitely want to check that out. And I got to go to Arizona this past weekend, and it was super badass. I love going to different cannabis markets and checking out, especially new ones. And if you're in the cannabis space and you can afford to do it and you have the ability to go check out other markets, I highly recommend it. It's going to really give you a better understanding of the way that cannabis is going to shape this country. I've been fortunate enough that I got to see pretty much almost every market in this country, especially on the West Coast, right? From Nevada, Oregon, Washington, California, now Arizona, Utah, Oklahoma. And so it's just exciting to see. So, as you start growing in your own community, think about reaching out to other communities, because just like we and Cari were talking about with Clubhouse, there's so much valuable information that needs to be passed around in this cannabis space, and holding on to it makes no sense. So the faster that we get this information spread in the community to, better the cannabis industry as a whole, the faster this industry is going to become way cooler, way better legislation, regulations, and just a better industry overall. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next Thursday. Hopefully JC will be back with me here. But we'll catch you guys same time, same place. Hope everyone has a great Thursday. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.